Hello and welcome to the Off Topic Podcast, Somber Edition. On last week's episode, I made a horrible, awful error. I messed up my quotes, which makes me very sad because what am I without my quotes and references? I am nothing. Therefore, mixing it up makes me very ashamed and sad. And so this is my formal apology. Try to imagine this written on the Notes app, posted to Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, The quote in question is, "I don't think I'd be a very inspiring disabled person," which is Cam from Modern Family and not George Costanza, as I had originally said. But in my defense, George is quoted saying, "I can't be blind, Jerry. The blind are courageous." But this is no defense. This does not excuse my horrible behavior, and I truly apologize to all that I have hurt, and I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
Who in the world is going to forgive you? Who are you hurting?
The voices in my head. They're very disappointed.
Yes. Wow.
Well, with that said, this ends the somber edition of the Off Topic Podcast, and we're brought back to the normal, regular Off Topic Podcast with me, your host, Elena, and my co-host, Stefano. Say hello.
Good evening.
That's not what I told you to say, but that's okay. I'll forgive you this once. How are you today? Did you have a good Easter?
It's been a pretty good day. Went out
good.
to eat, saw some friends. The works. It wasn't terrible outside. It was pretty. Well, I don't know the Celsius degree. Sorry, everyone in Europe, but it was 67
Sorry, everyone
degrees
in the
out
rest
today.
of the world. You mean? I don't know what that means.
If I have to. 67 degrees to Celsius. It was 19 degrees out today, so quite nice.
That is warm. My God, that's warm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least in my opinion, if you're in a non-Nordic country, I guess that's cold. But if you are in the northern part of the world, it's cold. It's warm. So my God, our summer last year didn't even get that. That's impressive.
I mean, nice. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, so it was quite nice.
Jesus. Wow. Well, happy birthday, Jesus. No, happy death day, Jesus. That's what I mean.
No, he rose from the dead, I think.
Oh, yeah, so happy second birthday. That. Happy second birthday.
He rolled that massive boulder out of the way all by himself. And was like, I'm alive.
Yes, that totally happened. I sense no weirdness in that statement whatsoever.
No sarcasm out of that.
But did you have a good Easter in general this weekend?
Yeah. Yes, it was nice. Yesterday,
how do you celebrate Easter nowadays? I mean, you as a person versus when you were a kid.
As a person. Well,
as a person.
I was supposed
not as an alien or an AI as you originally were in the beginning of this podcast.
People used to call me an alien, so it's okay.
That is so rude.
But yeah, it's fine.
No, it's
I've
rude.
got a weird shaped head. It's whatever.
I got a weird.
Besides the point.
But sorry, that shouldn't be as funny as it is. Sounds. That's not funny. It's not fucking funny. That's rude.
It is
That's
funny.
A rude thing to
I laugh at it too. It's okay.
Just because you laugh at it doesn't mean it's okay. That's a rude thing to say.
It's fine.
It's not.
But anyways,
yes. How did you celebrate Easter as a kid? That's what I'm doing.
As a kid, I used to go to church because I was in Catholic school. We used to have big family dinners. Being an Italian family, we either ate at like our house, and then if it wasn't at our house, it was at our aunt in New York, and if it wasn't there, it was at my aunt's in in the town next to ours. And then the family from across the country would come visit. Sometimes family from Italy would visit. Most of the time, no, because that is a long distance to fly over. But I think they did it like once or twice. But we would cook my mom would cook like salmon, squid salad, like delicious. Pasta bolognese sauce, pasta with pesto. She would cook like different other types of fish. She would either cook like cod or catfish or something like that. She would cook tripe. If anyone knows what tripe is, I think it's disgusting. Tripe is, in a 5-year-old description, sheep's stomach.
Oh my God. Oh no.
So my brother and my mom and some of my aunts absolutely love it, and I think it looks like a sponge and it looks gross. So I have never tried it because I just stare
Oh,
at it
that's
and I'm like,
awful.
no.
What is that? What is that thing that I'm supposed to eat?
Basically,
I'm not
yeah, I'm
eating
like
that.
that. No, keep it away from
Yeah.
me.
I know what you
But
mean. I do.
that was, and then we would like do Easter egg hunts or like, hang out with family, something like that. Either go like shopping later or something of the
Yeah.
sort. But
That's good.
nowadays, as
Yes.
a 30-year or basically almost a 30
Yeah.
year old,
Basically
um,
30-year-old.
the last 8 years, I would go to my ex's house, my ex's family's house, and we'd, eat
Mm.
turkey and
Mm-hmm.
ham and stuff with them. But other than that, I have been spending it on my own, doing,
Oh.
I don't know. I went to see some friends today. That was it.
That's
And we
nice.
got food.
Anyway.
So, but yeah, I
That's nice.
mean,
Yeah.
I was supposed to go home, didn't because I felt like crap. Um, but yeah,
Oh, that's
it is
right.
what it is.
Yeah, he was supposed to go
Yes,
home. For our listeners, he was supposed to go home for the Easter celebration and get some candy and such. He's been complaining all day that we've talked
I've
that he
not.
doesn't have
She
any
is
snacks.
she is exaggerating.
No. He's been
Oh,
complaining all day
snacks.
that he doesn't have any snacks. Yet he didn't go home because he was
Yes,
sick, in quotation marks. I'm joking. I knew
I
you were
may
sick.
have. I may have eaten some ice cream that I probably should not have eaten
Because you're
because
lactose
someone
intolerant, you
here,
moron.
someone here, maybe caved my cravings of ice cream. But I
Who
won't
would
say her
that be?
name.
Please.
I don't
Please.
know.
Please, sir. Please. You are exaggerating.
Anyways,
Definitely. Anyways, yes,
how
I have been
how did
thinking.
you spend your Easter?
Oh, yes. Okay, right. My Easter. I met up with some family, or they came to my house, and traditionally in Sweden, you eat the same thing you eat in Midsommar and Christmas, which is basically just it's egg halves, it's ham, it's herring, and then we have some summery-ish additions like a specific pie made with cheese. And I don't know why that's become a summer thing because it's not typically a summer cheese. You can eat that cheese all year round, but it's just become a thing. And I don't particularly like herring the way that you feel about that sponge thing you mentioned. I don't
Yeah.
think it's good. I don't think it tastes good. I think it tastes like, I don't know, foot maybe is the closest description. But it depends on
Gross.
the taste. It depends on the flavoring. You have herring with onion, and you have herring with other stuff. So, it can be good, I guess, but it's not my thing. But I've had a good Easter in general. I come from the kind of family where even if my brother and I are 40, my parents will give us Easter candy, and we'll have to look for it like an Easter hunt, even if we're 40. So that's that's the family that I come from, and it's fun. I do think that's a lot of fun. Yeah,
It sounds exciting though.
it is. It is. But moving on, because there is something that I want to talk about specifically, because I've been thinking about the podcast lately, and one thing that
Uh-huh.
I find interesting is, speaking about how differently we celebrate Easter and everything, our friendship is very international and culturally different. Which
Right.
makes for a lot of fun episodes, and I think that's hopefully part of the reason that people tune in every week, because we do have a lot of different experiences growing up and everything. And so because we come from two completely different countries, with that also comes online friendships, which I personally think is a very interesting conversation. And would you consider, just off the bat, would you consider us to be like friends or online friends?
I mean, we've kind of had this conversation before where like
Maybe, but
I
we can't let the
consider
people know
being
that.
okay, fine.
You have to pretend here.
Okay. Fine. Um pretend I didn't say that. But
Yes, pretend it's not
basically,
scripted. It's
um
not scripted.
um um basically for me, I mean, this not just for you but for like if I've heard your voice, if we've had more than just a few talking conversations, like you and I, like we talk a lot on the phone, which
That's
I
true.
find a lot of fun and all that. And we
Yeah.
talk. I mean, we text a lot as well. So I would like. I mean, I like I've told you before. I consider you a best friend because I mean I've told
Mm-hmm.
you a lot about my life, and I don't just rattle my life off to every friend that I know.
But
Um,
I will blackmail
so
you, and I will tell all of our listeners about everything
go
that we've
ahead,
gone through.
do it. I
It's
dare you. um,
well,
I mean, there's
yeah.
so much stuff I feel like I haven't said, but there's a lot of
Mm,
stuff that I have said that I don't wouldn't normally tell like other just internet friends that I have. But like I
yeah.
consider you like a close friend,
Well, it's good to
and
know
like an
that.
actual obviously like an actual friend, not just
Yeah.
like an internet friend. So
Well, it's
yeah,
good to know that because I feel completely different. You're just you're just an internet friend. No, I'm joking.
damn,
For obvious
damn,
reasons, I'm
the
joking.
truth comes out. Ugh,
Most of our audience are my, friends that are technically online friends,
right.
but I do consider them to be real
Mm-hmm.
friends. So if this is your first time hearing me
Do
say that
you?
you're a real
Do
friend,
you?
maybe I'm just saying this so that they'll listen. Please listen. Please continue to listen. No, I'm joking. I do, I do
She
see
doesn't
them
care.
as real friends, just like I see you as a real friend. And I don't think I've
Uh-huh.
ever seen, because it is different depending on who I talk to, because it does feel like when you say that someone is your friend and then they say, "Oh, have you ever met?" and you say, "No, I just know them online." It kind of, some people can make that seem very insignificant, which it isn't, because
Oh, I
you
know.
know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
you and all my other friends that I know online that I've never met in real life, you're just, as big of a part of my life and as good of a friend as any friend that I've met in real life. It's like saying that someone that you haven't met in a couple of years, so to speak, that you knew when you were younger, but you haven't met them in a while, isn't your real friend, which is just incorrect, because of course they're still your real friend. I think it's kind of like that, and it does feel, to certain people who don't get it, maybe, older people who are online for different reasons, or who don't understand the online world, will think it's a little strange to say, "Oh, well, who are your friends?" "Oh, they're, on the other side of the world. I only speak to them via Instagram." But it's still a real friendship. But I do think it's an interesting conversation because it has changed so significantly. And I remember when I first, got my online profile, online personality. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Online personality. I used to feel, I'd heard from my parents all the time about stranger danger and how you can't,
True.
trust everybody, which I fully agree with. You can't trust anybody, really. So, the kind of how do you know how to trust somebody online, because it is a bit of a risk. You don't know who someone actually is. Am I actually talking to a real person, or am I talking to a pervert? I shouldn't find that word as funny as I do, but I do find the word pervert very funny because it just sounds so ridiculous. But it's not. It's a real issue. So let's use pedophile instead. That sounds more serious, because even though both are serious, it sounds more serious. What do you?
I do
How do
agree,
you?
though.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Uh,
this weird word, pervert. What kind of word is that? Are you a pervert?
no, I am
I
not a
should not laugh.
pervert,
This
but
is
I
gonna get
do.
us canceled. This can't.
No,
This
it's
podcast
not.
is gonna
I
crumble and die as
no,
soon
it's
as it blows
fine.
up. It will be canceled.
I know
No.
exactly what you mean though, because like even like when I told my mom about you, she like instantly she was like, "Where is
Mm.
she from? Is she really a she? She could be a he. She could be 50. She could
Yeah,
be just some
maybe I
dude trying
am.
to ask you for money." And like she was
Exactly.
like, "Has she asked you for money?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, well that's a start." And I was like,
Yeah, that's a
"Cool."
start. Yeah, yeah,
um I even when I bring you up now, sometimes she like still seems very hesitant. She's like, "Okay, some random person he's talking to online. Okay,
Some random
sure."
person is
um,
who's just gonna take all this money and then never talk
I'm
to them
just
again.
gonna disappear one day. Exactly.
You
But
should
no,
tell her
I
about the
get it.
podcast.
Not my mom. But
Yeah.
I've had friends tell me in the past like that I sometimes may come off maybe like a little too trusting. and that I shouldn't be as trusting as I am, and I get that. Um, but like it's like the way I see it is like texting first, obviously. Like
Obviously,
you just
of
never know
course.
who you're talking to, especially if
Yep.
they live in another country and you're just
Yep.
all you're doing is texting. I could be talking to anyone, but like we started phone calling. You started sending me like videos of like your where you live and all that.
Yeah.
And like once those things kind of become repetitive, and like things aren't changing, like that they look weird or like suddenly like you're in this home or you're in that home or you're like and it's like I don't think you're rich because like even some people will say like, oh, I'm
Hey,
rich
how
so I live
dare
in like
you?
all these different
I'm
houses.
very
Like
rich.
I didn't okay, I didn't mean it in any bad
I have
way.
so much money. I'm a billionaire. I'm Elon Musk.
Exactly, and you could be. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't
But
know.
that's where like my trust starts to get built a little bit. There is like it's like
Yeah.
once there's that repetitive nature of like things all are like the same, or like we start talking on the phone and like you're not using like a voice changer or like you say like, oh, like I can't turn my video camera on because like XYZ, like
Yeah,
how like people are
that's the
catfished
classic
and all
one.
that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was actually going to
I've
ask
learned
about
my
that.
ways since as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as a kid, I trusted everyone way too quickly. As a kid, it's like and like that often led me to like hurting myself in stupid ways because I just trusted everyone.
Have you ever had an experience
So
with a catfish or someone scamming you online?
no,
If you'd
not
feel
so much. It's
comfortable
just
sharing that, obviously.
like just in the sense of like I would just become friends with like I would think I'd become friends with people when really they were just like trying to use me for like a classic point
Right.
is like when I'd be like quote unquote friends or flirting with like a girl in high school only to find out she was using me to get to my brother type of thing. So like I was way too
Right.
trusting in what they were
Yeah.
telling me only to find out that like it was
Well,
all for
you are
nothing.
very trusting.
So
You are very trusting. I will have to admit that. Even I noticed that when we started to become friends. And for some context here, we became friends through Instagram. He randomly
yes.
followed me one day like a creep, and then I followed him back because I follow everybody back. I'm joking.
Wow,
You're
the
not a creep.
truth comes out.
No, 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 no. That was a
I
pure
even
joke.
told you
Even
that.
I.
I told her that too, where I was just like, I didn't follow you at first because I thought you would think I was a creep or something, like just another guy being following some
And
random
now I'm
girl on the
using that
internet.
against you. Yeah. Yeah, typical of me. No, I am in all seriousness, jokes aside, I am joking. He is not a creep. But I did follow you back, and then I was the one who initiated something. I've been trying to scroll back to our first message, but it seems that we have sent a lot, which is why part of the reason that we're starting this podcast, because we can babble. Let me tell you, we've been friends since November, and I cannot scroll, for the life of me, I cannot scroll to the first message. I get to the, late December, and that's about as far as I can get. So, with that said.
She tried for like an hour today.
Yeah, I
so
did.
we know.
I did. For some backstory there. That's part of the reason I feel like I've been at this for so long, and I've always been a skeptic. And I think that when I was younger and I started being online, like I said, mentioned earlier, my parents would be very, cautious of me being online and, be very, very skeptical. And that was very ingrained?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ingrained in me. And it is still there that, you have to kind of look for certain things to see if someone is this person actually weird or are they good? And I think a lot of that has to do with what they say, and it comes with practice, basically. But how do you go about trusting someone online? Because I usually go for, well, can they send a photo of them talking? Do they actually know about the things that they're talking about? I feel personally that it's very obvious if someone is just making up a bunch of shit versus are they actually who they say that they are. I think it's obvious because I've been at this for a while, but now with AI also, you never know. We're not going to turn this into an AI discussion. I hate AI with a burning passion. It terrifies the crap out of me. But, how do you feel? How do you go about that? Actually
I mean,
trusting people.
similar similar to what I had said earlier with like how I came to trust you is like uh either them sending photos, videos, like voice
Yeah.
chatting to each other. You can kind of tell like how you brushed up on like AI if like a voice sounds a bit robotic. I mean, even if it
Like
doesn't
if it
sound like
sounds
robotic in the sense
robotic.
of like
Hello, Stefano.
yeah, if it
How
like
are you doing today?
or something like you can kind of tell if you
Yeah,
like listen
absolutely.
hard enough if a voice sounds real or not. Um, but like just like and also like kind of staying constant with your communication
Yeah.
as well. Like it just it's some you can kind of most people I guess can tell when something seems a little off or you just feel a little uncomfortable or like their internet presence like they're texting you but they don't have any internet presence per se.
Yeah. Yeah.
That throws me off a little bit. Um, especially when they have like lots of followers and like no posts or like
Oh, that's
something
the
about the profile
worst.
picture seems a bit
Yeah.
weird or like
Too
something
good
of
to
the
be
sort.
true.
There's and you can always what I learned through like the TV show Catfish on MTV when I
Oh,
was
I
a
love it.
kid. They like you would take the person's photo and then you can put it back into Google and sometimes it'll spit out like the actual where it came from and that's one way you can like cross
Yep.
reference whether a person is real or not. It's not like I hardly ever do that. So it's not like a thing that I have done often, but it is a thing that has
Me
crossed my
neither.
mind
Yeah.
on several occasions.
Yeah.
Um,
It
but
is good to know that
usually
that exists.
if it's someone that I don't trust, like I just have a feeling of not trusting, I just don't tell them much. Like I will talk to them about like the
Yeah.
most random stuff and in the moment, but I won't like tell them like things I've told you essentially. Um,
Intuition,
so
basically. Do
yes,
they
your
feel
intuition is telling you
authentic?
that things are a bit. Yep.
I would tend to agree with you. I've always gone by that as well. And I remember back in, if anybody remembers this, then please feel free to contact us because that would be so much fun if you actually remember this as well. But I remember there was a time in when there was this app called Talking Angela, and it was this, you could talk
Oh.
into the app essentially, and then the app would talk back to you. I don't really
Hmm.
remember what it was. It was just a weird thing, an app for kids. And then this rumor started going around on social media that this app was essentially a kind of a pedophile that was filming a bunch of kids
Oh.
through the eyes of this talking Angela. And I would believe that if it hadn't been for the fact that the rumor was basically that you could see the man from her eyes and then you could see him from the
What?
camera. Yeah. When you zoomed in, you could see the silhouette of a man. And I look at that now and I think, that's not how
That's terrifying.
anything works. That's not how it works. And even if that
Right.
was the truth, you wouldn't have been able to see the man. And I remember being so, just saying, that's not true. I remember feeling so obviously, like, this is not factual. How can you believe this? And I remember freaking out almost my entire class when I was 12 years old. I held up this, the phone with the app in front of my class, and I was I was using this app like it was nothing. And people were freaking out. They're like, no, you can't do that. And my best friend kind of my best friend at the time ripped my phone out of my hands, was like, no, you can't do that. That's
Oh
dangerous.
my
And I was like, this
god.
is not real. You cannot see, even if it is a creep filming a bunch of kids, you cannot see them in her eyes. I just did not believe it. And it's been 10 years now.
Right.
It's not true. And if it is actually true, then, like I said, feel free to contact me and say that this is true, in which case I'm probably part of some weird shit online, me as a 12-year-old, but, I don't believe, I never believed it. And that's kind of how I go about it. If I feel like this is not accurate, this is not how things work, intuition, basically. And I don't think you can go by that 100%. And I think that there's dangers in that. Of course, you can feel,
Of course.
your intuition can tell you one thing and then it's not actually true. But I think for the most part, that is fairly accurate, at least when it comes to internet safety. And especially because, like we talked about, you can tell if someone is making stuff up. At least I think I can. But with AI, who knows? It's going to get even better and better. So I'm wondering, is the small window
Better
that
and
we
better.
had... No, worse and worse. Oh my god, worse and worse, I mean. Better and better at scamming people. That's one way to say about it. Because there was a long period of time when people were scared of people online, which is, perfectly valid. I'm not saying anything about that because there's so many cases of just people being creeps online. But I feel like there has been a time now where at least I've made internet friends, and I think you have too, correct?
Oh, yeah. More recently, like within like the last year, more than anything.
But still, you have. That's my
Like I
point.
have like my gaming internet friends,
Shout out to them.
and then I have like closer friends from than that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, it's been a kind of small window for this to be somewhat safe in a way, and I'm wondering, is that going to go away with AI? Is that completely gone? This not safety, because there's never been internet safety, but has the sort of it's been less easy to scam people online than in the beginning of the internet. It was easier because you could believe basically everything, but then all these cases starting to reveal themselves and be like, oh well, this person is a creep, this person blah blah blah, blah. This has happened to me, and yada yada yada. And then it's been sort of a while when you could somewhat trust some people online, at least, like I mentioned, I have some of my best friends I've met through online. So is that window completely gone?
I don't think so.
With AI?
Because there's always going to be more people than AI. It would be shocking if like
I hope
AI
you're
took
right.
over like the amount of the population in the
You
world,
never know.
type thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I've heard people talk about that before, where it's just like similar situation, like how will you know that you're talking to someone real? I think there's always going to be that human intuition that when something doesn't feel
I
right.
hope you're right. I really do.
Well, let's hope that at least it stays that way for a while.
Honestly, if it doesn't, I'm gonna move into the woods and never speak to anybody who I haven't met in real life or I haven't known for at least 10
Sure, we
years at
can
that point.
be we
Yes,
can
we'll
be
be
like Bilbo
roomies in the
Baggins from
woods.
Lord of the Rings,
Okay,
and build
stop
a
with your
house into
nerd
the.
references. You can't be
We
such a nerd
can.
here. No. We don't want to attract the nerd audience. I'm kidding. We definitely do.
We do.
The nerds are very passionate, and I say that as someone who is. I'm not a nerd, but I'm a nerd about certain things. So
But are any of your friends nerds? Are any of you listening Lord of the Ring fans,
yes,
or I don't
exactly.
know,
You can't
Pirates of
just
the
say my
Caribbean,
friends.
or
We have
Harry
the whole
Potter fans?
world
I don't know.
listening to us. I hope so, because nerds, or I don't want to say nerds. I'm saying that kind of jokingly, but people that are really passionate about something are typically a good fan base to have, because they're very passionate about things. I'm very passionate about things. If Billy Joel made a
Absolutely.
podcast, Billy Joel could make a podcast making this noise for the whole thing, and I would eat it up. I would listen to the whole 30 minutes of him just making a single I would, because it's Billy Joel. So I want those people to listen to us, is what I'm trying to say. As long as you're not AI. If you're AI, you're not allowed to listen to us. Because I don't want AI any near here. But yeah, I guess about online friends, I think it's interesting because I was gonna say, before you rudely interrupted me, that whoops, I definitely you did interrupt me, 100%.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely you didn't. I'm joking, but I think that it's a lot of danger when you're young, specifically.
Oh yeah.
I feel that's the main target for the aforementioned perverts.
I mean, that's how kids go missing sometimes.
Yeah,
Is through the internet. So
Stranger
it's not
danger.
shocking.
It is not shocking.
Yep, you can never
At
be
all.
too safe.
you can never, very, very true, you can never be too safe. I actually have a bit of a, not a story, but there was when I was 12 years old, there was this, old 30-something-year-old man who was texting me. And I remember thinking, and this is just me, this is not a universal thing, but I'm so grateful that my parents told me from a very young age that don't speak to strange people. And I remember he was texting me something, and I just thought it was hilarious because I did not believe. I don't know what he was saying, but it was something like, "Oh, I'm this and this," and it's good. He was really trying to make me believe him, and I was like, "No, you're lying." And I was just laughing about the whole thing. I was like, "This is so pathetic. What is this grown man doing talking to me?" I just thought it was hilarious for some reason because I didn't believe him, and I thought it was such a weird thing. And then my friend told a teacher because this happened at school, and the teacher was like, "Okay, you need to block him immediately." And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. Right. He's just a pathetic person." Obviously, I did block him, and then my parents found out. But looking back at that now, it's like, how did I'm kind of proud of myself. That's part of the reason why I'm saying this, because I did immediately just think, "Oh, this is just some pathetic, losers who's trying to basically groom me or do something creepy." Right. And I was like, no, thank you, I'm good. And I was just laughing at him. And, but with that said, you should be very, very careful online. I haven't told you, but I'm 50. I'm a man.
Oh.
I'm Dan Schneider, actually. Yes.
That's attractive.
Yes, very, very attractive. I'm an old, disgusting man who's trying to.
You're an old, disgusting man, but do you at least have some money? I mean, if you can pay me some money.
Please, I'm completely broke. Come on now. I wouldn't be doing a podcast if I wasn't extremely broke. Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. No, jokes aside, everybody listening should be very, very careful when they're online. The main thing to take away from this whole episode. But yeah, I have a question. I have another question. When did you notice that, when did you think that, okay, maybe I am not some weirdo? Or maybe, when did you decide that, okay, maybe I can actually trust her?
I don't,
Do you have anything?
I would have to go, we'd have to go back in the chat, I feel like, honestly. But
I'm trying.
I think it was pretty.
I am trying.
I think it was pretty early on, though. Like, because you just seemed like a very genuine person through, like, your writing and all that. And, like, our writing quickly turned into... well, our writing quickly turned into, like, novels about, like, our lives. Like, it was just... It wasn't just, like... It's, like, sometimes when I've written to people online, like, the conversation doesn't go anywhere. Like, it's just... It's, like, dead in the water. But, like, our conversation, it was, like, a light switch. It was, like, we just started talking about, like, anything and everything. And, like... But it always stayed on topic of, like... you never, like...
enough.
You never went, like, you know how, like, some people will talk about a story and then they'll, like, forget that they said something and then try to change the story. And then that's where things get weird. Because it's like, well, you said this and now you're saying this. So what's... And then they're like, oh, I did? Oh, I don't remember that. Like, and then like, yeah, but actually I meant this. And it's like, okay, well, now this is a little weird because I don't know if I can trust you because, like, now you're changing your story around. And it's like, you know... But you never did anything like that. So that was another reason why I was like, I feel like I can trust her. And, like, you also you were quick with, like, sending me, like, photos of, like, where you lived, which I thought were really cool. Cool. And I was like, well, I feel like a lot of people, even people that I do trust, don't really ever do that. So I thought that was really sweet. So then I sent you a video, I think, of, like, the dog park or something because you were interested in like, what the area looked like.
Yes.
So I think it was just, like, that type of connection just put me at ease a little bit so that I just didn't feel as, like,
that's good.
Concerned about who you were as a person. And then, like, over time it was like, and then, like, also like I said, internet presence, your Instagram, like, there's multiple photos of yourself that goes back a while, I guess, like, several years maybe.
Yep.
So it's like you have photos, you have a following, you have, like, your friends who are pretty consistent on who comments on your posts. So it just and stuff like that, it's just like it makes you more of a person than just like a random
That is a really good
who
point.
knows who on the
Actually,
internet.
seeing
So
who comments and kind of, making sure of that. Is it the same
not saying I'm
commenters? Is
stalking. I
it
am
no,
I'm
no, 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 no,
not
no, no, no. I'm just
not in
saying,
that way at all.
if anyone wants to online date, maybe, because that's very common nowadays. I've done it. You've done it. It's a very, very common thing. So I feel like that's a good tip to give people if you actually are, if you're listening to this and you don't know us, which, hello, welcome. And if you want to online date, then one of the good things to do is look at their online presence if they have any. I think that's one of the easier things to do. And I think
I've
it's
never
really important.
online dated.
Well, online dating is meeting someone through Tinder. I would
Oh,
say.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
That's
yes.
kind of what I mean by that. Meeting someone
Never
through
mind.
a dating app is technically online dating. Not to give out too much information. We're gonna keep it very vague and not be personal here.
It's
okay. But I do
Yes.
think it's an interesting, or it's not an interesting, but it's an important conversation to have these days with everything being
Well, you never know.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not lying.
People could lie about their age. People could lie
Yep.
about who they are. People
yeah.
and I know you said like age isn't as crazy of a thing in Sweden or Europe, but like in
Depends
America,
on
like age is like
what the age is.
Yeah, I know. Right. Or like the age gap is a little bit weirder here in America than like the age gap in Europe.
That's a whole different
like how
conversation for another day.
I told you how my mom and my dad well, yeah, just to touch on it a little bit. Like they're 22 years apart, and people here in America are like, "Whoa, like, oh, you're married to your granddad, basically."
Oh,
So,
please. Granddad, 20
yeah,
years older, really? How would that work?
well, I mean, my grandfather was only 15 years older than my dad, but
Oh, you mean like that? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I got I got a little bit confused.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, that is something that maybe we should touch on maybe next week. And if you want to hear more of that, then you should tune in another time, because we're not going to tell you when we're going to talk about that. But I do agree with what you're saying. It is definitely tied together with that, with ages, because you never know how old someone actually is. Looking online, you just kind of have to trust them if you feel like you can. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Off Topic Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed babbling about it. Make sure to come back for next week's episode. And also don't forget to follow us on Spotify and on YouTube and on Instagram for any additional posts and content and all of it. We truly appreciate you listening, and like I said, we hope you come back. Ciao!